What's up, guys? Slaughterfit's back here with another video, and this time I have a little bit different of a video for you guys today. As you can probably see, I am in the real world in my bedroom, not the virtual world of Skyrim. And so in this video, we're actually not going to be doing a build. I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite franchises ever, and that is Fallout. Been a big fan of Fallout since, I think Fallout 4 was the first one I played, then I went back to New Vegas in 3, then I watched the show. So yeah, never played the old Interplay ones, just being honest. Hated 76, just keeping it real. But yeah, really big fan of 4 and New Vegas. Both of them are some of my favorite games of all time, and both of them is actually what I kind of want to talk about today. There's a saying I hear thrown around on Instagram and other social media a lot that no one hates Fallout more than Fallout fans. And the first time I heard this really resonated with me because I just felt like each Fallout game has its kind of loyal clan of, fans and consumers that just love it to death and hate on all the other Fallout games. And basically, everyone I've ever met who likes Fallout, all my friends, chatting with people online, all have one specific one that they love, and all the others they think are kind of a miss. And, they just don't like it because it's not like the one they love. Either they, love 3, they love New Vegas, they love 4, and all the other ones are just not quite as good to them. And I guess I have always felt like an odd one out where I kind of like all of them. I mean, I'll be honest, I have not played nearly as much of 3 as I have of New Vegas and 4, but what I've played, I really liked it. 4 I loved. It was my first Fallout game ever. New Vegas felt a little bit, old school when first going back to it, but I've since come to love it. But I will say it took me a number of years to actually go back and play New Vegas because of how divisive the fan base is. Especially, I think maybe no two games in gaming history are more divisive than Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 4. It just seems like the two fan bases cannot get along to save their lives, and they're just constantly, shitting on one. Any sort of Fallout 4 post will just be Fallout New Vegas fans in the comments dissing it, and vice versa for New Vegas posts. And I don't know, this I just is always really irked me because I just love them both. I think they're different games, they're going for different things, they're accomplishing different goals, but they're both great. And so, in this video I just kind of wanted to break down the differences between them, but what I really like about both. Because I was a Fallout 4 guy for many years, all my friends were into Fallout 4, none of them really played New Vegas, and I never gave a New Vegas a shot because, according to them, oh, it's boring, just trudging through the desert, it sucks. And then, only in the last year or so, I really gave it a genuine shot, and I was like, wow, this game is amazing. I don't know what they were talking about. And then talking with people online who are New Vegas fans, I mean, you'd think 4 was just the biggest piece of AAA garbage ever produced. And so yeah, once again, just trying to break down kind of the pros and cons of each, and I don't know, hopefully convince people to try out the other one. I have a little list on my phone I'll be checking, and I'll be ping-ponging back and forth between the two games. But let's start off with 4. So I think for Fallout 4, something slight to start off with is the gun customization. I mean, it is so much better than any other, Fallout game. I don't think 3 even had gun customization. New Vegas has slight customization, but it's not really real. It's not really actually in the game. Opposed to 4, I mean, it has amazing customization. You can make different guns to kind of fit your different style, whether that be, your play style or your kind of aesthetic vibe, role playing style. There's so many options, and I'll say the modular system, well, I'll get to that. While the customization is much better in 4, it kind of comes at the cost of cooler base guns. Because how they did it in 4 is they did this whole modular system, excuse me. And how that works is there's kind of a pretty basic gun that then you can mix and match any piece on. And so you can turn it, into a sniper, an assault rifle, a short range kind of quick rifle. I mean, some of them you can turn into like a pistol, like laser things. You can turn anything from a pistol, shotgun, a sniper. You can turn into anything. Same with Plasma, you can just kind of it's one gun, but you can just turn it through mods into anything else. And I think that's a really cool system, and it makes it so you don't have to go hunting and finding a laser shotgun. You just go, oh, well, I have this laser pistol, and with these mods, I can turn it into a shotgun. And I really like that system, but I think what's not the best about it is all the guns are just much more bland looking. And I think with things like the laser gun and the plasma guns, it doesn't come into as much of an effect. But with whatever you call it, bullet guns, they don't look that good. I mean, New Vegas has really cool, M16s with ACOG scopes and stuff, and M4s, and really realistic, kind of impactful guns. And Fallout 4 just has these kind of goofy, they look somewhat real, but they're not like a real gun that ever existed. They're kind of like some made up kind of Fallout verse gun that I guess kind of fits with the aesthetic, but just doesn't feel as cool. It doesn't make me want to tote this kind of brandless, ambiguous, just bullet gun. So I think New Vegas definitely has much cooler base guns, but Fallout 4, you can do more with them, even though they're not quite as cool. And I think it could be phrased in this way: New Vegas, better guns that fire bullets; Fallout 4, better plasma and laser guns. My next point, and I'll start off with the New Vegas side for this one, is that I think New Vegas has much cooler, or much better, I should say, vibe and setting. But I think Fallout 4 has much better big, breathtaking moments. So what I mean by that is I think the general setting, the Mojave Wasteland, is better and more interesting than the Commonwealth. I think the factions are a little bit better. I think the environment's a little bit more cool and unique. Like the kind of general, it's kind of somewhat woodsy, apocalypse. Like it doesn't really feel very Fallouty in the same way that I feel like the Capital Wasteland or the Mojave feels in the older games. And I know a complaint of New Vegas is like it's just like endless desert. But once you get some fast travel locations in and you get to skip the large kind of sections of just desert, I think the Mojave is pretty cool and a lot more, memorable as a general landscape. However, I think Fallout 4, the story and, how the story interacts with the world leads to much cooler moments. I think the Prydwen's arrival, the reveal of Father's true identity, the Liberty Prime both attacking the Institute with him or hacking him and having him attack the Prydwen. I think those are just all breathtaking moments that will stick with me forever. I mean, even Liberty Prime grabbing that behemoth and like picking him up and crushing his head or whatever. There was nothing in New Vegas like that for me. The next point for Fallout 4 is also that I just think the combat is such a step up. I mean, New Vegas combat I like, it's satisfying. And I think it's slightly better in some ways. I'll give you one right now. I think New Vegas has better gunplay sounds. Like when you're hiding behind cover, just the kind of pings and clangs of bullets hitting by you is much more kind of realistic and unique in New Vegas. And it works much better with the actual pieces. I remember I was hiding next to some sort of barrel or drum, and a bullet hit it, and it makes that kind of like bong sound of when it hits a drum. And I remember just thinking, God, that is so cool and so realistic. Opposed to Fallout 4, it's kind of just like a lot like ping, ping, ting, 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 just kind of general bullet ping sounds that don't feel like specific to the setting or specific to what the bullet is actually hitting. So that is something really cool that I think New Vegas does better. But in general, I mean, the Fallout 4 combat is just so much better. I mean, I personally think it is one of the most underrated gunplay of any game ever. I mean, it is super dynamic. It can be extremely fast-paced if you want, or you can kind of take it slow. It works in so many different ways. It has stuff like, how you can peek around cover and stuff. Just for an RPG, it is just such good combat. It blows me away to this day that, one, that we got it in Fallout 4, and two, that people don't talk about it more. It's just amazing combat. Next point for New Vegas, I kind of already mentioned this, but the factions are way better in New Vegas. I gotta hand it to New Vegas. just how they're written, who they are, their place in the world, what they're kind of setting out to accomplish. It just works so much better in New Vegas. I think one of the best parts of New Vegas is, as evil as something like Caesar's Legion is, there's a reason to side with them. Like every kind of side, has their issues and has their pros and their cons, and you can kind of make an argument for each. I don't really feel that way in 4. I think in 4 it really comes down to Brotherhood or Institute. And since they make the Brotherhood so much kind of nicer and less evil in 4, to me there's, unless you're trying to do like an evil character, there's kind of no argument for anyone but the Brotherhood. I mean, I guess you could say Minutemen, but there's not much of like a quest line around them, so it's just not that fun. But the Railroad is like a complete joke in my opinion. The Brotherhood is pretty nice and normal and kind of just like normal government. Which is, I guess good for the people in the universe, but kind of boring. And then the Institute is just like, the boogeyman of the Commonwealth. I mean, they're just evil, kidnapping people, killing people in the pursuit of kind of disturbing science. Like, I just, there's no argument for them. Another point for Fallout 4 is I think it is both kind of easier to get a hang of, and also, I think slightly because of this, it's just a lot more generally fun. I think Fallout 4 is just so much better for like, you've completed the game, there's nothing really left to do, or maybe, there is stuff left to do, but you just want to hop on and walk around and shoot people. Oh my God, there's no place in New Vegas that at all compares to just walking around downtown in 4 and shooting people. And the combat is just so good, and there's so many enemies and different types. It's just awesome. Opposed to New Vegas, there's certain places you can fast travel to if you're looking for a fight, but there's not really just like the same kind of general enemies around. And it's just a lot less fun. And it's a lot harder, I should say, to just jump in and be like, oh, I'm just going to mess around. Like, if you don't have a quest you're trying to do in New Vegas, it's not the best. Opposed to 4, I mean, I've spent hundreds of hours in 4 literally just walking around doing nothing, just shooting people and messing around. Another point in New Vegas's favor is I think the story is a lot better. I think some people hate on the Fallout 4 story. I don't think it's bad. A lot of the kind of, differences around being a little bit more locked into who you are as a character and the stuff with Father, I think rubbed some people the wrong way. I liked it, but I just 4 is just better, and this is kind of going back to the faction stuff, but it's just so much more compelling because there's so much more options. There's kind of so much more. It's not just good versus bad. There's so much more nuance. I think New Vegas just nailed the art of nuance in storytelling and choices and stuff. Another point for New Vegas is that I think its dialogue is so much better. But not, in my opinion, not for the reason that a lot of people harp on. A lot of people just rag on Fallout 4 for it changing to the Mass Effect style, dialogue wheel or whatever, which, is more limiting and it doesn't tell you exactly what you're going to say. I get that. People don't like it. I was never that bothered by it, but whatever. What I like so much about New Vegas, it just feels so much more realistic to the world. Both how you talk, like the options you have to say, but even more so what people say to you is just so much more real seeming. I think one of the biggest things I notice is with cursing and cuss words is in 4 there's a lot less cursing, and it's much more kind of, I don't know, feels like something out of a movie, or kind of, I think they're trying to harp back to this kind of Boston, kind of masshole type energy or something with some of the lines. Opposed to New Vegas just has amazing, like, they just sound like real people. Like, I remember there's a quest where you're luring out some, bandits to then be shot by NCR guys. And so I'm running and they're chasing me. I'm like, bro, these NCR guys better come through and start sniping these guys. And then they start lighting up the bandits, and I can hear the bandits going like, "Oh fuck, oh shit, we gotta go, 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 fuck." And that just felt so much more realistic, and also like funny hearing them kind of panic and say, "Oh fuck, oh shit." And that's just not like a thing at all in 4. And I think 4 has some hilarious moments of, I think there's like a line where, I think when you're meeting that guy, whatever his name is, like Smalls, who trapped Nick or whatever in the vault and was gonna kill him, and you have an opportunity. He says like any last words, and I think your guy can say,
You're fat, you're ugly, and it's time you and your crazy bitch said goodbye.
that's a pretty good line. And there's moments like that in 4 that really shine, but just general that like how the people in the world talk, I think is much more stilted and closer to like Starfield than it is to Fallout New Vegas. The next point I want to bring up is companions. And now, while I think New Vegas has better companion controls, like that menu you have for telling them what to do, I think is so much better than the like point method in Fallout 4. I thought that was super annoying. But I think the companions themselves are so much better in 4, and I don't think anyone would really argue against this, but they're frankly just not memorable in New Vegas. I think I remember Cass because that's who I, roll with and I like her, but I don't know if I can really name any of the other ones besides that, like Grandma Nightkin. And the Grandma Nightkin is definitely like the unique one, but she's kind of so over the top and unique that I don't really like having her around. Opposed to 4, they're for the most part all kind of normal people that would exist in the universe. Even Strong is kind of just your average super mutant, but they just have so much more going on and have so much more of an interesting backstory. Like, I'd say Cass and McCready are kind of similar vibes. And at least from what I remember from playing both, McCready has this long backstory about how he grew up in Little Lamplight and he has a kid and he's looking for a cure for their disease, if I remember correctly. And it's really compelling. And Cass is just like, ex NCR and I, have a drinking problem. Okay, I mean that's just total different levels of kind of storytelling. So I think 4 has much better companions, and they also all kind of serve a role in a way that I just don't think is really done in New Vegas. Okay, this next plus for Fallout 4 is definitely going to be the most divisive and probably lead to the most angry comments. I like the voice protagonist, but I will say I wouldn't want it brought into New Vegas. I think it works in 4. I like it. But I totally think New Vegas is fine for not having it. But it is a slight plus for me with 4. Just because I've always liked voice protagonists. Obviously, it's better if you could pick a voice so you can kind of pick one that matches your guy. I think I just lucked out with, I think the voice they went with for just, all the guys or whatever, the Nate voice or whatever, really worked with the kind of character I was going for. And I think also just as a kid, I just didn't care as much. But, now looking back, I mean, that voice is my guy's voice. That voice is, I associate him with my guy. And frankly, if he had no voice, I don't know, I would just have so much less of a feel for, my character I created, personality and kind of how he acts. So much of his kind of vibe and personality comes out through the voice. And he's kind of like slightly sarcastic and kind of, and has a slight like tough guy energy. And I really like that. But I totally get why some people didn't like it. But, that's just something if you're a New Vegas guy and you've heard, oh my God, they added a voice protagonist and it ruins the game, I take that with a grain of salt. It definitely adds something as well. Another point I would give New Vegas is that, and this kind of relates to the voice protagonist, but I think the beginning and kind of your backstory and who you are is much more open and kind of free for you to do whatever you want in New Vegas. I think one, it takes so much longer to get into the game in 4. So starting new characters is kind of a pain in the ass in 4 in a way that it isn't really in New Vegas. But also just the whole like courier thing is so much more. You can kind of do whatever you want. I mean, anyone can have worked a couple jobs as a courier. Like, yeah, that's somewhat of a backstory, but like I said, any type of person could work that as a job briefly. There's no, and frankly, you could come up with some other reason for your guy about, oh, he had to do it for XYZ, but that's not really what he, normally does. Opposed to 4 definitely locks you in to, if you're, unless you're just disregarding the whole intro, your guy is from pre-war, you had a kid and a wife, you fought in the military, there's definitely, you had a life story up to that point in a way you don't really with New Vegas. which I like. And then also New Vegas gives you this opportunity because of the whole shot in the head thing. You kind of have the decision, oh, I have amnesia and this is, a blank slate, me kind of wake up and this is my life story going forwards. Or you can still kind of make up for yourself a backstory for what happened before the game started. It kind of gives you that opportunity too. The next point I want to bring up is settlements. I think I liked settlement building, and I think that's cool that you can do that in 4, and I had some fun with it. I definitely spent hours doing that. But my issue with it is I think because of settlement building, and I don't think this was necessarily like a bad decision or choice or idea, but I think they thought because people are making their own settlements, they didn't have to make as many or kind of try as much with the settlements. So, like, for example, in 4, there's far less settlements, at least to me. I mean, there's the same amount of kind of big, like, settlements, but there's just not nearly as many just random little kind of a couple houses and, like, a little mini town or whatever. And they're all just replaced by the various outposts and settlements that you can make yourself. And while I like making settlements, all the player created ones lack a certain amount of kind of soul or storytelling that ones, made by the developers would have. And so, I don't know. I like being able to make settlements. But I think New Vegas has much more and much better settlements. And also, Fallout 4, I'll just be honest, I was kind of underwhelmed. I thought Bunker Hill was kind of lame. What's that one called? Like Arcadia or some shit? Oh, no, that's the observatory. Well, whatever. It doesn't matter. There's various little settlements that I just thought were kind of lame. The only one I really liked are probably Diamond City and Good Neighbor. Opposed to, like, in New Vegas, even something like Novak, I think has more soul than, 90% of settlements in Fallout 4. I also want to talk about DLC. I think this one was a hard choice. I was kind of going back and forth about which one I liked more. But I've come to the conclusion that I think Fallout 4's DLC is better, but New Vegas's there's more of it worth playing. As in, I'd say the majority of Fallout 4's DLC, I would just pass on. I think Nuka World and Far Harbor and Automaton or whatever it's called are great. But Automaton, you're not even going anywhere new. It's just a quest line and unlocking a new feature. So of real, like, what I think of Bethesda DLCs, we're going to a new place with new quests and stuff. It's just, it's just the two New Vegas, Nuka World and Far Harbor. And both of those I thought were amazing, all-time great RPG DLCs. I loved both of them. Far Harbor, I think, is my favorite DLC of any game ever. I thought it was amazing. I loved the setting, loved the story, loved the characters, loved the companions, everything. I love that you can actually use the companions in the normal game, which you can't in New Vegas for some reason. But I think New Vegas has a lot more worth playing. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, Far Harbor and Nuka World are the only ones that, like, take you to a whole new land. Or if there's another one, I'm not remembering it because I thought it was bad. Opposed to New Vegas, so 4 has 2. New Vegas has 4. 4 places where it's like whole new place, new quest, new everything. And I would say none of them to me quite reach the peak of, Far Harbor and some Nuka World moments. But there's just so much more of it that's, like, worth diving into. I think Old World Blues and, is it called Sacred Hearts? The one that's in Zion Valley. Those two were both amazing to me. The other two I was less into, but those two were really cool to me. And yeah, and there's just much more content worth kind of going through with those. And I think the coolest setting of any might be the Zion Valley one, to be honest. This video is getting a little bit long, so I think I'm going to kind of rush through the last couple things. While I think the skills, perks, UI, all of those things are done differently in the two games, I find them frankly equal. I mean, they're different, they operate in different ways, but I don't know. I never felt like, oh, I really miss this from the other one, or oh, it sucks that this game doesn't have that. They're just kind of different, but equal in my opinion. People really feel like Fallout 4 dropped the ball with some of the like perks and role playing stuff. I don't really agree with that. I just think they're different. One thing I will say though is Fallout 4 has a much better health bar where you can actually, and much easier to tell the effects of stuff, see how much radiation you have. New Vegas is weirdly like difficult to see all that type of stuff for some reason, and I just don't really get it. And then a last pro for each, I think Fallout 4 has better armor and clothing. I just think there's more of it, more interesting pieces. It's just better. And then the last point I want to give for New Vegas is that, and this is kind of a double-edged sword, I think it has a much better ending, which I might have already said, much better ending, but a fat L that is a pet peeve of mine is the whole that you can't play after the ending. That to me, New Vegas had a compelling case for maybe one day I could like it more than Fallout 4 until I realized that was a thing, and that just tanked it. I hate games that you can't continue after. I don't understand it. It's so weird to me. And to me, I just see it as lazy developers. They don't want to have to record some lines of people, being, wow, you're such a hero. You saved us. And so they just end the game after the last quest. I don't know. I hate it in Baldur's Gate. I hate it in this. I don't get it. I just don't get it. So that's going to do it, guys. That was kind of all the little pointers I had on my phone. Basically, moral of the story is they're both amazing games, both all-time great, both something that I think anyone who has any kind of interest in Fallout or RPGs should check out. But they're just different. I don't know. One's not better than the other. They're just different.